In today's video, we're going to break down the latest update from Plan B, covering all of his various models and indicators. And as he says, all models are wrong, some are useful, but let's examine where he says we're at in the cycle and what Bitcoin is doing. So stay tuned.
Bitcoin is booming. Are you cashing in or missing out? At Drip2 BTC, we're rewriting the rules of Bitcoin investing. Earn up to 30% ROI on your deposits, unlock incredible Bitcoin discounts, and transform credit into up to 3,000% APR growth. No hassle, just real results. Don't wait, your future is one deposit away. Drip2BTC.com. Invest smart today.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. So as I mentioned before, I've been doing this basically for a little while now. Every month, Plan B puts out a video. He's much more active on X, and he is a on-chain analysis type guy. Got his claim to fame. I call him the Bitcoin tops and bottoms in the last two cycles. Missed out on his 100K call from the last cycle, but his analysis is there. So that's the whole point. He uses on-chain data and some personalized models to create these charts. And you can take it with a grain of salt, but it just helps, again, with all of your other speculative data you might be accumulating on, to just have a finger on the pulse of all this stuff. So we'll cover a couple of his charts and make our own decisions, I guess. All right.
Welcome to Plan B on YouTube.
He's a little fast there. Let's slow him down.
Welcome to Plan B on YouTube. So we have a new all-time high. What's next? Bitcoin jumped at the end of May to $104,000, and that was a little over the $102,000 earlier this year, and that was a new all-time high. Now we also see the color turning.
So that's kind of indicator one, is that the monthly close for Bitcoin was higher than it was previously. So we're still in this upward trend. Higher highs, higher lows. That is still a bull market. Everything's still moving up and to the right. So he's going to actually double down on that bull market statement, because he actually has on-chain data to tell us if we're in a bull market or not.
Halving in 2028. Next chart, cycles. I think this is the chart everybody's waiting for. The current market is still in a bull market. In fact, it's very much in a bull market, and I admit it's a very different bull market than other bull markets in 2017 or 2020, because it's more flat, it's longer, and a lot of people misinterpreted this chart. So first of all, it has nothing to do with stock to flow, right? Stock to flow is just scarcity, stock to flow ratio, and this stepwise model. This Bitcoin market cycles model is based on on-chain analysis. So I calculate and analyze all the on-chain transactions, and then based on that, a formula decides which state of the market we are in. And so it's certainly not a prediction. I don't know if next month the dot will be red or yellow, but it's a detection. I can only look at the state of the market right now. So right now it's a bull market, and also don't be fooled by the length of this bull market. It's not that bull markets are always 1 year. Historically, they are 1 year, maybe a little less, a little more, but there's nothing that says a bull market can't last for 2 years. So, in fact, if we're looking at the data underlying the model, we're right now at the very beginning of a bull market. So we made sort of a fake loop in bull market territory after the January 2024 ETF introductions, and we're now right back at where all the bull markets in the past have started. So it's a very bullish signal, if you ask me.
And that's kind of where I've gotten my thesis. I guess made my own assumptions off of this being a extended cycle, for lack of a better word. It's because all of the data that we've had before was ran strictly off of retail. So everything that we were speculating on and what we analyzed was basically off of early adopters, retail money, pre $1 trillion Bitcoin market value. What do you call that? Market cap. That's what I meant to say. So once retail came in, and since then, now we've been over this 2 trillion. So obviously there was some plays on wiggle room between 1 trillion to 2 trillion. But basically Bitcoin has now matured, and with regulation in place, institutional money in place, it just doesn't make any sense that it will respond exactly the same way as before. Now, Raoul Pal's Everything Code, his thesis is that every 4 years, they're going to roll the debt, and that's tied to our specific global reserve currency in the US and getting a new president and blowing out the debt ceiling. But that could change as well, especially now they're talking about potentially getting rid of that ceiling in its entirety, and or extending it to 10 years. So it's done about every 5, to be honest, but we just use the 4 because that's the Bitcoin halving cycle. So there's a lot of fundamentals underneath the hood that can change this, that have always been there, but now it's more so there. So when you actually look at where we're at, it's been about already 14 months in this current cycle, and previous bull market cycles were like 8 to 12 months. Like Plan B said, it could go longer. There's nothing that says it has to be 1 year. And we're already seeing it extend. And then again, with ETFs kicking things off earlier, it just makes sense that it would be extended, because we haven't gotten into the money printing, kick the can down the road part of the phase yet. Like, that's coming. That's what they're discussing right now as we speak. And we've seen some rate cuts in other countries already, but nothing yet on the dollar. But that is coming as well with the SLR and all the other stuff that I showed you on our video. So there is no reason to believe that Bitcoin will not scream higher, in my humble opinion, for the rest of this year and maybe first, second quarter of next year. And then again, I'm also in the camp of believing that corrections will be much more stunted or less steep in the future as well. We're going to skip RSI. Basically, all he said in here is that we are still close to 70, and with Bitcoin, if you see RSI over 80, that can expect a 40% or higher returns, and he's expecting to see at least 4 of those, which we have seen historically. These are all RSIs over 80 in the previous cycles. There's 5 in this one, like 6 or 7 in that one, and 6 or 7 in this one. And if you have an RSI over 80, then it gives you a 40% return plus. And if you do 4 of those, that will put us from 105K to a 400K Bitcoin price. You go to 5 of those, you get to 550K Bitcoin price. So it's far from over, because it just takes literally 4 months of an RSI over 80 to jump up from 100 to 400K. And people be like scratching their head going like, what happened? So just keep that in mind. And let's go to this next.
The difference between the geometric mean and the arithmetic mean, so the black line is the arithmetic mean, the normal moving average, that difference is diverging. And if those lines diverge, that's usually, in fact, always in a bull market. So the only question is, will this divergence go on? And I think it will. So more bullish news from this 200-week moving average.
So even the 200-week moving average is confirming that we are in a bullish uptrend. And all he's saying is that you see the distance between the black line and the red and orange dots. As long as they diverge, we are in an uptrend. And that's what's been happening here from the start back in 2024. I guess you could actually argue middle of 2023 and onward. Let's go to the last clip of the realized price, which is also another indicator. So he looks at the various realized prices on chain and determines if we are in a bull market. And TLDR, we are.
In fact, the realized price right now is 47,000 up from 45,000, and the 2-year is 81,000, up from 77, and the yellow one is 96,000, up from 92. So really a bullish sign if the realized prices go up. Of course, Bitcoin at a May closing price of 104,000 is above them all, and that's how we want it in a bull market. The red dots, the Bitcoin prices above all the realized prices, and everything is going up. A trend like that has some momentum in it, so it usually doesn't stop. It will go on for some months, sometimes an entire year.
So there you have it. Like multiple charts, multiple analysis, everything pointing to saying that we are still in a bull market, and that's what I believe. And I believe we will indeed see some massive upside well into the end of this year. I just don't know what the rest of the cycle looks like once we hit new all-time highs and scream to 200, 300, 400K. It's like, yeah, how much is a correction at that stage? Do we only see 40, 50% correction? Will we see the 70, 80? I don't think we will. But let's just say we see 60 and Bitcoin's at a 250K price. Well, 60% correction puts it right back at the prices we're at now, 100K. So it's not far-fetched, in my humble opinion, if we go higher than 250, that we will not see sub 100K Bitcoin prices ever again. Like, it's not far off to believe that. As I mentioned before, when he was talking about the RSI, it just takes an three months of an RSI over 80 for us to breach that 250K level. So at 2 months, we're knocking on the door. And that doesn't mean we stop there. Like, it just means that RSI over 80 gives us that more than 40% return. But we could chop sideways from there, establish a new floor. All I believe is that it just becomes that much harder to get cheaper Bitcoin, which is again why you never sell your Bitcoin, because if you do, the ability for you to potentially buy in lower, to me at this stage of the game, is slim, due to the points that I mentioned before, that it just may not correct like we're all expecting. So dollar cost averaging, keeping that Bitcoin that you have, continuing to stay humble, stack sats, to me is the only way to go, because yeah, there is not a lot of Bitcoin going around. All right, that's all I got. Smash that HBO special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.